This is something that I actually just talked to Graham Hancock about. This stela is a limestone inscription discovered in 1858 near the Great Pyramid Complex at Giza. And the text describes a pharaoh Khufu who ruled from 2589 to 2566 BC, visiting the site and ordering restorations to existing structures, including a temple associated with the goddess Isis. The stela refers to Isis as the mistress of the pyramid, a title that has raised questions about whether parts of the Giza Plateau were already considered sacred before Khufu's reign. And although most Egyptologists date the stela itself to the 26th dynasty, more than 2,000 years after Khufu, its wording continues to draw attention because it portrays the pharaoh as a restorer rather than the original builder. Whether the inscription provides older tradition or reflects later religious interpretation remains debated. But if this is accurate, this describes Khufu as restoring the pyramids.
Yeah.
Now, this exists throughout history. The temple of Tenochtitlan, where the Aztecs had, when they described it as the place where the gods were born.
Yeah.
And they found it. Like, people think the Aztecs made the pyramids. They did not.
No.
There was some sort of a previous civilization that lived in Mexico prior to the people that called themselves the Aztecs, or what we call the Aztecs.
Yes.
And they built. So there's a long-standing history of people repurposing existing structures and claiming them as their own. And if this stela is accurate, and this was also in Fingerprints of the Gods, Graham Hancock's book. So I sent this to Graham, and his reaction was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
What he said to me was that there's a strong suggestion that the Khufu Pyramid might have been one of the 3 subsidiary structures alongside the Great Pyramid's eastern flank, and all that looked like damaging evidence against the orthodox chronology of ancient Egypt. It also challenged the consensus view that the Giza pyramids had been built as tombs, and only as tombs. However, rather than investigating the statements from the stela, the Egyptologists they chose to devalue them in his quotes. They chose to say, that's just inconvenient. But if they are describing it that way, that seems like this is a long-standing tradition of people finding things that exist. There's clearly ancient Egypt itself, dynastic Egypt, is a very complex society, very complex and very advanced society, even if they didn't build that stuff. But it seems like they're saying the restorer.
Yes, yes. The thing that we can say for certainly is that the pyramids are older than the dates that are written on the typical history books. So to see something to say something very precisely, we have to go back in time into the Zep-Tepi. Mm-hmm. So there's more than 36,000 years ago, something happened to the earth. So the Zep-Tepi began, and in a time belonging, the Zep-Tepi and the Great Flood were built the pyramids.
So, like, what I'm sending you something, Jamie, that's very interesting.
Yes.
So, do you have an idea? Do you have an estimation? Like, what is your personal belief?
Yes. We can't say exactly the year.
So Zep-Tepi, let's explain to people what that is, since I sometimes forget. Zep-Tepi is the thing that I described to Zahi Hawass,
yes.
And he dismissed it. What is this? I've never heard of this. It's an ancient king's list.
Yeah.
And it's a list of pharaohs that goes back past 30,000 years.
Yes.
And it's very inconvenient for modern academics, and so they like to portray it as myth. And then when it gets to the age of historically accurate pharaohs that we know of, Khufu and Khafre, then they allow those hieroglyphs.
Yes.
But when you get all the way back to the 30,000 years ago, they like to say that that's just mythology.
Yes, it's true. But it is a matter of fact. the Zeptepi, we have also other ancient megaliths that are very old, recognized very old. So
Yes.
We have to deal with that.
Well, Göbekli Tepe was a big
Göbekli
problem.
Tepe is a big problem
It's
also.
more than 11,000 years
yeah.
old, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside the pyramids, they found a lot of salt that were attached on the walls. So they find salt. Why there was salt there? First. Second, the shafts that we are dealing now, if we want to clean the shafts, why there is debris? Why they are tapped? No? So, if the Great Flood is an historical parameter, recognized, so let's say 11,000, 12,000 years ago, let's say, something like that. I don't remember precisely. The Zeptepi, which is not recognized, is 36,000 in the past. So, between the Zeptepi and the Great Flood, we can locate the pyramids and the Sphinx.
Wow. So the Great Flood, we're looking at 11,000 plus years ago. Zeptepi, you're looking at 30,000
Yes.
plus years ago.
Yes. We can say, I'm an engineer. I put myself in the center between 36,000 and 11,000.
See if you can find some images of salt in the Great Pyramids, because it is quite fascinating. And if there was some sort of a massive rise of sea and massive flooding, which is depicted in every single ancient religion, from Epic of Gilgamesh to the Hopi talk about it. I mean, it's like almost all cultures have a story. Obviously, Noah and the Ark and the flood in the Bible, but this salt.
Joe, 2 months ago, I went for the first time to visit the pyramids, and I found salt on the wall. There is still salt.
And you think that salt is probably because...
I tasted is of water, of the sea.
Wow.
Yes. I forgot to bring it to you.
Not just that, but there's so much salt that there's still salt there 11,000 years later, which is really extraordinary. And so you think that salt is because the entire area was flooded?
Yes.
And that's the reason why the shafts were flooded and filled with debris?
Yes.
Right. Topped off with debris, because everything just flooded into there. And then when the sea receded,
yes,
so many years later, you're left with salt everywhere.
Yeah.